Hey, this is Chip Shell, your host. This episode features my first Black Erie musician, Dennis Henderson. He's a bass player for the Legend Band, which has been around for a long time. My thanks to Brian Waller, a great sound man in town, who connected me with Dennis. I learned a lot in this episode from Dennis, who was just a terrific and humble guy, really. There is one story that I can tell you that's not in the episode. He called me up a few days after our interview and said that he couldn't believe that he forgot to tell me this experience. He said it was around 2000 that he got a call from a local Metallica tribute band. And I apologize, I can't remember the name of the band. But they asked Dennis if he could fill in for a couple of gigs on bass, just a temporary situation. I'm not sure what was going on with their bass player, but what's odd about this right off the bat is that Dennis is a bassist who plays funk and R&B and gospel, you know. He's not a heavy metal guy. He explained that to the band, but they knew who he was and knew that he was really talented, and they wanted him for the gigs. So he said he went down to Sherlock's one night to listen to them and see what they were all about. And he said as soon as he entered the bar off of State Street, it was like the loudest music that he had ever heard. But he said that was a really interesting experience for him. He played a few gigs with them. But he tells all sorts of good, interesting stories in this episode. So let's just get to it. And please remember to subscribe or hit like on whatever podcast app that you listen to. Thanks a lot. All right, Dennis Henderson, welcome to the Erie Music History Podcast. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
A few firsts for me for this podcast. You're the first black musician I've had on the podcast. You're
I'm the first.
Yeah, you're the first R&B musician I've had.
Great.
Is that a good characterization?
That's pretty much, yes.
And you're the first musician I've had who has played in bands with guys named Catfish and Rooster. Right?
Yes, you're right about that. And Moondog.
And Moondog?
Yeah.
I missed that one.
And there's a lot of other names, too. You know.
You don't have a nickname?
No.
Okay.
I do, but I don't want to say it.
All right. All right. Well, we're both bass players, and you're an Erie guy.
Yes.
Went to Academy?
Went to Academy.
73?
Graduated in 73.
73? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You played football there?
Played football.
Right.
Wrestled.
Yeah, you got a big wrestling family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Your sons or?
Oh, yeah, my sons. Both of my sons wrestled. And I was their coach.
Right. Did really well.
JFK coach, JFK Center wrestling coach.
Yeah.
And coach kids from ages 8 to 14. And then when my sons got older and they went to Academy or Central.
Yeah.
And my oldest son, he went on to get second in the state. And my youngest son, he got to about the 9th grade, 10th grade, and he was tired of wrestling. He moved on. But he was probably the best wrestler in the family.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Any other bass players, musicians?
No. My two sons, they're into music, but it's more of the rap type, and they do a lot of looping. And they actually had a group called the A-Boys.
Okay. And
they actually got pretty big. They used to travel and everything with some of the big name rappers.
Really? Cool.
Yes. So.
And so you when did you get started?
Oh, wow. I was probably about 14 years old.
14?
Yeah.
Okay.
14 years old. I always loved music.
Yeah.
I couldn't sing, so I said, I guess, I want to play an instrument.
And what are we talking? Funkadelic?
I grew up with the funk.
Right, I knew that, yeah.
I grew up with the funk, and, I used to follow, a lot of Motown stuff, back in the day, and I used to love the bass players like with Earth, Wind, and Fire. I used to,
Sure.
And what was that, the Funkadelic?
Bootsy.
George Clinton's groups,
right.
Yeah. Well, I was follow Bootsy, all those guys.
Sure.
So I always liked to thump,
So yeah, that's a big key point here. Like I can't thump, so you can. And did you ever play guitar or just bass?
I mess around with a guitar.
Yeah.
I know a few chords, but I'm not a great guitar player.
Okay.
But I do, I can play good enough to please myself anyway. Right. Nobody ever asked me
around
to play.
the campfire. Yeah. I gotcha. All right. obviously I do a little research on the people when you come in here. And so am I correct in saying your first band was with George Peoples, Paris Baker, Rooster, your cousin, right?
My cousin,
Eddie
Rooster.
Baker, or Eddie Evans, James Goodwine, and Marlon Knight?
Yes.
What was his name?
We didn't really have a name.
No?
No, we just was a basement band. We never really got out the basement. You know
right.
what I mean? But we did get a chance to play for this. It's a band battle of the band contest. You know, was my first time
Up at Barron?
No. This was like at one of the centers. I think it was either the King Center or one of those places. I don't even think the King Center was around then. It was a community center.
Yeah.
And we was probably around, like I said, 14, 15. Right. And we actually should have won the contest.
All right.
But some of the judges was related to some of the other guys in the other band.
Gotcha.
And they even came up and told us, "Oh, you sound better than they did." Right?
Do you see any of those guys today and remind them of that?
No, it's been so long ago.
A long time ago.
I see some people, most of the guys that I played with back then, they got out of music. They
did?
Yeah, they didn't stick with it.
And at 14, where are you at school? Are you at Academy at that point? Or?
I went to Wilson, probably at 14, yeah.
And were all the other guys around the same age?
Yeah, we were all pretty much neighborhood guys.
Okay.
You know, we all kind of lived right around the corner from each other.
Oh, cool.
You know, back then everybody was trying to play something.
Right. Where was the neighborhood that you lived in? Living around?
I lived on 20th Street between East Avenue and Perry and Wayne, that area.
So the JFK Center was probably pretty close and a place to go. And
at that time, I don't think the JFK Center was around.
Oh, was it?
No, because they had a place called the Booker T. Washington Center. It was on 7th Street.
Yep.
Not the one that they have now over on 18th Street.
Right.
And that's where most of the kids used to go. Then there was a place called the Action Center. They had and before the JFK, John F. Kennedy Center, there was like a little storefront type little center. And that's what became the JFK Center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my aunt actually had it going, before they built the big building next to it.
Right.
And that was like a community center for kids.
Was there a little I saw something somewhere, almost like a little place to play at the JFK Center,
No, I played at the
inside?
JFK Center. Yeah, it was called the PT 109.
Yeah, the PT 109.
Yes.
Yeah, what was that?
Well, that was the grand opening. It's still there right now. I think they turned it into like a daycare center. But
really?
It's still right there next to the building.
Okay.
And it was like a club. They actually opened it up. It was a nice club. Bar, had a stage in there for the band.
Yeah.
And we did the grand opening.
When you say we,
that was the Legend Band.
The Legend Band. So that's what we're going to be talking a lot about here. I mean, you're still in the Legend Band.
Well, yeah.
Right?
We still have the Legend Band.
Yeah.
Not the same people. I'm probably the only person from the original band.
Okay. And so, I mean, when I talk to different musicians in town, a lot of times there are some, like I just interviewed Marty Coe from Friction, who had been in one band.
I remember Friction.
Yeah, I mean, he was in the band for many, many, many years, you know. In fact, he's only been in 2 bands in his life. I mean, you were in a band, obviously, with your 14-year-old friends, the No Name Band.
Yeah.
What else after that? You were in a band called Vintage?
Yes.
For a little while?
Yes.
What was that?
That was before Legend.
Okay.
And this was a band, we were pretty good. And we played a lot of different places.
Like where?
Everywhere. We was in the hotel scene, the hotel, motel.
Right.
That when they Holiday Inn places.
Sure.
And, the different hotels and motels around the city. You had to be in the union to even play some of those places.
Okay.
And actually, it was a group called Vintage, and we had Jim Martone. I don't know if you know.
I know the name,
him.
yeah.
And he played the saxophone. He was he was actually the leader of the group.
All right.
And Tony Cavicchio, He's our drummer.
Okay.
Mark Webb played the guitar. And we had Frank Butray. He was a great guitar player.
Yeah.
They were all, most of them were just graduating from Edinburgh in music.
Okay. All right.
I know Frank Butray was, Jim Martone. They both went to Edinburgh.
Okay. Yep.
And we had, it was like different people in and out of the band, but those were some of the guys that played with us.
And Frank goes on to be in Fusion.
Frank is great.
And, yeah, he...
I used to go watch him.
When Theory he played in.
When he played his concert, when he was graduating, you have to go up to play what they call
like a recital.
Yeah, all by himself.
Yeah.
And an acoustic, electric guitar. But
yeah,
he was fantastic. He all classical music, and he was great.
Well, what type of stuff were you playing in vintage?
Oh, we was just doing top 40 stuff, that you would hear on the radio, mostly danceable stuff.
Okay.
Because that was like during the disco scene era, John Travolta type deal.
What are we talking, 70?
We're talking
6?
No, not that far back. Let me see. I graduated in 73. We might be talking late 70s,
okay.
Early 80s.
All right.
Late 70s, early 80s.
So between you being 14 and that period, did you play in other bands?
I played in a couple other bands with some of my friends, and they never got off the ground.
Gotcha.
I actually played. I played in a couple of rock groups back then.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Just some friends of mine. We got on just playing. I can't even really remember the names of them.
Yeah,
but we was just having fun.
Yeah, right.
Then I quit for a while.
Oh,
I just quit playing. I got, I got married.
Sure,
and had kids.
Had to be kids involved here. Yeah.
So for a little while, the music had to stop for a little while. I had to work and do things, So for a long time, I might quit for about maybe 5 years. Then I started getting gospel groups. I played in a couple of really good gospel groups.
Like around in churches and stuff?
Churches, and we were actually quartets.
Oh.
I'd play behind some guys, and we'd travel.
Oh.
I played with this one group called God's Own Chosen from Ashtabula, Ohio.
Right.
And we used to go Detroit, Cleveland,
wow,
all over.
I think I saw a picture of that on your page, maybe.
Yeah.
Did you guys all have like white outfits or something? Or?
We had blue outfits on.
Yeah.
We actually made a CD that got pretty big over in Detroit and Chicago. Yeah.
Huh. Now, did you like playing gospel more than?
I like playing both. I love gospel music. My mother's a minister.
Oh.
So, I played at her church. She had a little church, and, we'd go over and had the church choir, and I'd be like the director at that church because it was a small church.
Sure, right.
So I'd have all my little cousins and nieces and nephew in the choir, and I'm playing the piano and singing with them.
So you can play piano too?
Not great, but I could hold a couple chords.
Anybody else in your family? Was your mom musically inclined, or anybody?
My
else?
mother can sing.
Okay.
She's still. People used to call her just to come up and sing all the time. To this day, she's still living, and she's 96 years old.
Wow.
And she can still sing.
Really?
Yes.
So you did not inherit that from her, though?
No.
All right.
But that's what's funny because everybody else in my family pretty much got great voices.
They do.
They can sing.
And when I think of you as a bass player, it is the thumping, it's the slapping, that type of stuff. But in a gospel group, do you do that?
You can.
You can?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the type of gospel that we do.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, was that one of the requirements, like when you joined the band, like, hey, man, this is how I play?
No. I can do overhand playing, too. I know how to, some songs you just don't need it,
Yeah.
But when I need to do it, I can do it.
And where'd you learn? All on your own, or?
Pretty much. I didn't take any formal lessons, or I don't read. I can read charts and things like that. I know my skills, but I never took any formal lessons or anything like that. But I just learned from playing with different people,
Like who were you? Was James Johnson one of those people?
Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
James, yeah.
Talk about him.
Tough bass player.
Yeah.
Good friend of mine.
Yeah.
You know, he's still playing.
Right.
I know he's not in Erie anymore, but somewhere down south. But he keeps in touch with me.
Yeah.
And he showed me a lot. You know, I learned a lot from him.
Yeah.
He used to live right across the street from me, so we get together. You know, we go to his house, and he started off playing guitar.
Okay. Yeah.
But he got with a group with some of my buddies, with Barry King.
Right.
And Robert Poole.
Okay.
Robert Poole's the drummer, Barry King's guitar player. Yep. And they used to have a group, and that's how I really got back into music, because I'd just be watching them perform, and they were great, just a three-piece.
Right.
And I just watched them, and I said, you know what, I think I'm going to pick my bass back up. You know?
What was your bass at the time? What do you play?
I've seen what type of bass?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen you with Fenders.
I got a Peavey. I had an old Peavey.
Yeah.
But my first bass, it was like a no-name bass.
Yeah.
Kind of looked like one of those old Paul McCartney basses with the
Rickenbacker.
Yeah, but it was a fake Rickenbacker.
Oh, a Hofner. You mean the violin?
Yeah, the violin.
Yeah, Hofner. Yeah. Yeah,
that was the first one I bought. And I worked all summer to save up to get this thing. It looked real pretty.
Yeah.
But when I got it, the neck was kind of warped or something, and the strings were too high.
Right.
And it was actually a guitar.
Oh.
Yeah, but I couldn't really make chords with it. I guess the strings weren't on there right. And
right.
So I started picking single strings, and that's how I became a bass player. Because I said, okay, since I can't make chords with this, I just play the bass, the top bass line.
Right.
Then I finally bought a bass. And
do you use a pick or fingers?
Fingers.
Yep.
Yeah, I've never used a pick.
Me either.
Yeah. Not on bass.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And how about now? I mean, do you have how many basses do you have?
I got 5. I got a Fender 5-string. I have old Kramer.
That sounds like an 80s bass.
Yeah. And what else? I got like 3 basses right now.
Okay. Yeah. It seems like bass players tend to have few basses, you know, and guitar players have a lot of guitars.
Yeah.
You know?
I got 2 guitars.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you leave the Legend Band, right? Or does it fizzle out?
We were together, the original Legend Band. Now, there's been more than...
I said the Legend, Vintage.
Oh, Vintage.
Yeah, you leave Vintage, right?
Yes.
To start the Legend Band.
Right, but Vintage was together... There was 2 Vintages, you know. Yeah, because I was in the original Vintage. And we played around. Then we lost our couple of musicians, our keyboard player, John Kaleli.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a fantastic keyboard player.
Huh.
And he left the group. And so we had to kind of disband for a minute to reorganize.
Right.
And we found another keyboard player. And that was the second Legend.
Okay.
You know? But the claim to fame with Legend was we opened up at, this was before the Civic Center, everything was done at Gannon Auditorium,
right.
all the concerts.
At the Audi, right.
So we opened up for, I don't know if you ever heard of this group, Frankie Beverly and Mays.
I have not.
Never heard of them.
Yeah.
They're big. They're an R&B scene.
Right.
I mean, they got records. One of these days, you pull them up.
I will.
Check them out. And we opened up for them.
At Gannon. Like in when?
Oh, wow. That was
70s,
70s, about 80s, 81 and 82, somewhere.
So this is the Legend Band.
This was Vintage.
Oh, this is still Vintage. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
Yeah,
so you were doing good.
Yeah, we traveled a lot with Vintage. We would Peak and Peak. We played up there, you know.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And 5 guys in the band, did you say? Or
yeah, I said a saxophone, guitar, bass, drummer, keyboard.
And
so that's
like top 40 stuff, current stuff.
Yeah.
Disco?
We did all of that. Yeah.
You did everything.
Everything to dance, a lot of dance stuff.
Yeah.
We used to play at the old Peninsula Inn. I don't know if you remember that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, you know, that was all people wanted to dance.
Best place best place in
Yeah.
town. Great stage.
Yeah, that was probably our main place that we played most of the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
we played there quite a bit.
great place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, wish it was still around.
Oh yeah, that was nice.
Yeah. I mean, when we talked about like the JFK Center not being there or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, like I'm sure you've seen a lot of places come and go.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
especially great places that you could play at, like the PI was, or even Sherlock's or wherever.
Even back in the day, like the Holiday Inn was.
That's
nice.
what I was going to ask.
Yeah, we used to
Where
play
else?
there, and like I said, all motels outside. I've played at like Sherlock's and all those places,
Okay.
like downtown. You know, we've done all those.
But there were a lot of more motels to play.
Yeah.
Like Hilton or
That's
whatever.
what I was like. It was like the Sheraton, the Hilton.
Oh.
Back then, it was these hotels would have bands every weekend. They had their own little bars, like,
Sure.
and they had bands, and we used to play. And it was called like a circuit. So we'd be sent to these different places, even out of town, because we had an agent.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Vintage did.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember his name, Frank Senzala.
No. Huh.
No, okay, he was our agent.
Okay.
And he sent us different hotels. It was the hotel circuit.
All right.
So we just go around Ohio, New York State, Pennsylvania.
Was it usually like a weekend gig?
Usually, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we usually was like Friday or Saturday night.
Right. Not one-offs.
Sometimes we did some Wednesday nights and
Okay.
things like that if it was local, if we can, some of these guys had jobs. And
Right.
So, we couldn't just take off for weeks.
Right.
We had opportunities and offers to play with different groups and travel,
Okay.
but I was married and had kids, so
Sure.
I couldn't really take off like that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people I talked to that played back then talk about how often venues had music. Sometimes it was every day of the week. I mean, today
Music
we
was
just don't
big.
see that.
Yeah, DJs took over.
Right. Yeah. Great point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but people talk about like a Wednesday night, or I played a Tuesday night, and were these all 10 to 2 types of gigs, or?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
Pretty much.
And
I don't even do 10 to 2 like now.
I know.
try
I'm
not
with you.
Yeah.
I know. So you formed the original Legend Band, is that right?
Actually, I was one of the original members.
Okay.
And I could give you the names.
I think I have them.
Melvin Poston,
Yep.
Luther Gibbs, and myself,
Oh, that was it.
and Dwayne Nolan.
All right. Yeah, because I was looking at a post
Dwayne Nolan.
that Maurice Troop, who we know, from the Breeze Band, he said, you guys were really some of the Erie's R&B pioneers. And I have this old picture of you guys on the stairs.
Oh, yeah, that's the Legend Band.
So that is
That is not the original Legend Band.
It's not the original
It
Legend
is the original, but they weren't the first ones that started. The names I gave you.
yeah, that's it.
The only one on there is I can show you Melvin.
Yeah, Melvin. Yeah,
Yeah, he's on that picture.
he's down here, right?
Yeah, that's
yeah.
Melvin right there. Luther didn't.
This is you with the cool hat.
Luther wasn't. That's me.
Yeah.
Luther wasn't in that picture.
Okay.
He wasn't in the band at that time, and Dwayne Nolan was our drummer, but he was. This was the second drummer.
Well, were you
Dwayne
guys?
was not the original. He's not the original drummer, but after we got organized, that was the band.
I always think of the Legend Band, and from my research, as being like a 6-5 piece, something like that, like a bigger band. But at first, you were only
We was just 3 guys.
3 guys.
But we never got out the basement, so that is the original.
Okay. All right. So, and the other thing I think about is, in this town, you don't see a lot of female singers over the years compared to guys.
Right.
But you guys, from the beginning, at least from these guys, Ernestine, right?
She's
still with you now. She was back then.
She's not with us now.
No. Okay.
But she was with us back then. But she was not the original female singer. We had 2 other female singers before her.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember who they were?
Debbie Marsh was one.
All right, I got a picture of
That's
Debbie right
Debbie.
here. Yeah.
And there was another young lady, which her name don't seem to come to me right now.
That's right. You got me on that one too.
Lily something.
All right. And so was that the idea? You always had like two vocalists, right?
We always had at least two vocalists.
Okay.
A male and a female.
Right.
Pretty much.
And describe to folks who have not heard the Legend Band the type of music.
Right now, we kind of trying to do a lot of. We was doing a lot of older school Motown type stuff.
Right.
Now we pulling up to the modern.
Oh, you are
modern day music because I actually have people who are younger than me that has their own era of music that they like better than. Well, not they don't like it better, but moving up to date.
Was it always that way? Like even back when you started, were you trying to play the music of the day, or were you playing Motown?
We was playing the music of today, and we didn't just do Motown.
Right.
We would mix it up. We did jazz, we did blues.
Oh.
Yeah, we mixed it up with R&B.
Okay.
So to this day, that's pretty much what we do.
Well,
it's a mixture.
As a musician in general, that must make it challenging and fun.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Because we usually have a very good sax player in the group. Every group I've been in, we found someone to play very good sax. So we start our sets with just instrumentals.
Okay.
And so we'll do a little jazz. Then we'll do a little blues, and we'll get the people up when they want to dance.
Right.
And we also kind of cross over to some classic rock stuff too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We like to mix it up.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Is it seems like I always consider, like you described, playing in lounges and that type of era. You're a very professional and polished band. Do you feel that way about the Legend Band?
Oh, yeah.
And was there always that expectation?
Yes, we like to, consider ourselves kind of like a show band.
Yeah,
but, so we always kind of, try to dress kind of in some kind of, not a uniform, but color-wise,
Okay.
Or, we try to, depends on where we playing at, how we dress,
Right. Yeah.
If it's casual, we try to be casual. If it's something formal, we try to mix it up.
Yeah, that's what I've always noticed is, a lot of bands like that. And even today, when you go see you guys or the Breeze Band or the Groove, everybody looks the part.
Yeah.
Super polished, I've tended to play in half-ass bands where, in between songs, we don't have a lot of continuity.
Yeah.
We don't look the same, you know what I mean?
Nothing wrong with that.
And how much is that part of, like, when you're rehearsing, like, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that?
We try to work out the music so that we're all on the same page,
Yeah.
Because, I play with a couple of really good, everybody in the group is good.
Right.
To me.
Yeah.
I think they're all better than me. So.
Okay, all right.
I'm trying to keep up with them.
Yeah.
But, we'll go practice and try to make sure everything is tight. Everybody, might make a mistake here and there once in a while, but we try to go over the music until we get it to where we think, everybody agree. You can, when it's right.
And so back in the day, 3 sets, 4 sets?
We used to do 3 sets all the time.
3 sets all the time.
Not 4.
Yeah.
That was a little more than I wanted to do.
Right.
But we do 3 long sets, You
do?
We might do a 4-hour gig.
Okay.
So that would be 3 sets.
Right.
Yeah.
And go from one song to the other. Very continuous.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes we'll break in between songs, but we usually try to keep them close.
Yeah.
So, sometimes we'll talk to the people in between the song or something like that. Then we have some that we do like a medley of songs.
That's what I was getting at. You would have to work out those medleys, as I know, that takes more time and figure out how to segue into this or that.
That's true. That
really makes it part of the show, too, rather than
yes,
just,
it does. And then people really like that. When they hear, you change, we go, like we have one medley where we go from, these is old school stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm the one put this together. But we start off with, something like Mustang Sally.
Okay.
And
crowd favorite?
They love it no matter what. Then that breaks right off into Chain of Fools.
Another crowd favorite.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then that breaks off into My Girl. And, you know, and then no stopping, just
right.
And, you know, so that's pretty nice.
So back in the day, I mean, you and I have it easy now because we need to learn something. We can bring it up on the computer. And
there you go.
Back in the day, you had to buy 45. You buy a record, you sit there, lift it. I mean, how were practices back then? I mean, where were you practicing? Someone's basement?
Basements.
Yeah.
Or my house.
Yeah, yeah.
in my little house with my mom in my bedroom. That's when I was 14, though.
Okay, yeah. I'm thinking with the Legend Band, that's a lot of people.
Oh, well, actually, the Legend Band, we had Mr. Harrison, Bobby Harrison from the Center.
Okay.
At that time, he was the director. May he rest in peace.
At JFK.
At JFK Center. He gave us a spot, not at the PT, but next door they had a building.
Right.
And he let us use that basement.
Yep.
And he helped us out with some equipment and everything, too. So.
Yeah, you know, that's funny. There's an article that I read from 1984 on you guys. Tom Weber, who I actually interviewed on this, he wrote it.
Yes, I remember Tom.
Yeah, and he said, you know, he talked about, that's where I learned a little bit about you. And he was also talking about back then, it was very difficult for an all-black band to get gigs.
It is.
And you played at the JFK Center, you know, like that was nearby. I mean, talk about that. I mean, where did you play back then, and how difficult was it?
Back then, like I said, we would play a lot of functions. People would have there's a lot of things going on in the black community too. You know, we had people would have proms and balls, and you know, and we would pretty much we stayed busy.
You did, okay,
yeah,
like in halls and stuff like that, different centers.
There's different people would rent out places, you know, and then there was a couple of clubs that we would play at. Back then, it was like a club called Arbeiters and places like that. You know, we would play different places. You know,
right.
There was a couple bars, you know, bigger bars back there, like you know Jethro's and
sure.
You know, there was places to play.
There was, okay, yeah.
But it was hard to break into some of the white clubs and stuff like that for us back then.
How has that changed? Or has it?
It has.
It has?
It has. Okay. It's changed a lot.
Good.
Now I go to places and it's a mixed crowd. Everybody's having fun. You
Great.
know? I did a lot of stuff downtown. What's the place down there? It used to be the Docksiders. Was it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right in there.
Somewhere up in there. We used to play there quite a bit.
Yeah. When they moved up from whatever they were on before, or Fifth or whatever.
Yeah. And like I said, I played Sherlock's.
Okay.
Played, I was in another group that I didn't mention. Called Eclipse.
Oh, okay.
And that's the group we used to do Sherlock's and things like that. And we were all instrumental.
Oh.
Yeah. We didn't have singing. We had a little singing.
Originals?
No. We did play. Yeah. We made originals. We played some originals, but we also played copy.
Oh, okay.
Cover music.
And was this jazz or what was it?
Fusion.
Yeah.
We did a lot of instrumental. We had, that's when I had Bill Speaks. They call him Moondog.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
My buddy Mike Russell played drums. You know Mike?
Everybody has played
Everybody
with
knows Mike.
Everybody knows Mike. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. And who else? We had a fantastic keyboard player, Simmons. He teaches computer.
Okay.
But he plays fantastic keyboards. I haven't seen him in a long time.
Yeah.
And who else? That was it.
Eclipse.
The group is called Eclipse.
Huh.
Yeah.
And so that is amazing to me. Like these days, you can't go see just an instrumental band, right?
Well, we had fantastic, you know, Moontog was fantastic lead player.
Sure, yeah.
And he was pretty much doing a lot of lead. And then was my buddy, he's going to be mad because I can't remember his first name. Yeah, Simmons.
Right.
It's going to come to me in a minute. But he played keyboards and he was a soloist.
Okay.
So we had that covered.
But that says a lot about like Bev and Sherlock's about we're willing to hire a band that is just going to do.
Because we did some really fantastic stuff. We even wrote some things. I wish I could have brought you some of that music.
Yeah.
But
do you have anything that you can send to me that I can put on your page later, like digitally?
I could try.
Yeah, look and see.
No,
yeah.
I'm not a computer whiz, but
All right.
I got some stuff.
That's all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, so Eclipse, Legend Band, was that when Legend was on a break, or what happened?
Well, yeah, Legend was not, when I was playing with Eclipse, Legend was on a break.
Okay.
There was no Legend Band there.
Gotcha.
So in between the first Legend Band and the Legend Band today, there's a big space.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah.
Were there
So I played with a lot
of
of different other groups and different people. And
different versions of the Legend Band?
no, it's actually, for a while, after the first Legend Band, I played with other groups.
Okay.
And they were different names, like Eclipse and Catfish.
That was the name of the band.
That was another band.
Okay,
You know,
all right.
that was right before Eclipse.
All right.
And we played a little bit, maybe a year, and then we kind of had some falling out. And me and
What happened?
Moondog, we started Eclipse.
Okay.
Yeah,
What band were you in when you were wearing that funky outfit?
that was the Vintage Band.
That's the Vintage Band?
Yes.
I'd like to see the rest of that picture. You're looking good in that picture.
Yeah, that's a beautiful picture. We had that professionally shot.
Okay, yeah.
We had a couple of them. There should be something else up there on my page.
What is that bass? Is that an old jazz, or I can't even see?
Oh, that's so long ago.
Yeah.
I don't have that bass anymore.
No, you probably
I
wish
don't have that
you
bass.
wish you did.
I
Probably.
wish I did.
Yeah. That's well, like I said, I'll put these on your episode page for sure.
Oh yeah.
So, I'm sorry. Go
There's
ahead.
a picture on there of us outside. That was also vintage.
Okay.
We're hugging the trees and stuff.
I didn't see that one yet.
Okay,
I'll find
yeah,
that
be
one.
careful.
Okay. So you talked about Debbie Marsh being in the band.
Yes.
This version here has Steve Harris, you, Debbie, Glenn Horton, Barry King, and Preston Williams.
Yes. Preston, fantastic saxophone, keyboard player, majored in music at Mercyhurst College.
Oh.
And had his degree. Great musician. He kept the music together for us.
He was like
our music director pretty
Gotcha.
much.
Did you always have someone like that in the band?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Usually the keyboard player.
Okay. All right.
They seem to be easier to put the chords together, and
Right.
the harmonies. Yeah.
And no harmonies for you, no vocals for you.
A little background.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe crack a couple of jokes or something.
All right. You need that one. That's all part of the show, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So today, who's in the band today?
Okay, today, besides myself, we have Wayne Patterson on drums.
Okay.
My niece, Cassandra Crockett, we call her Dee Dee.
Okay.
She'd rather be called Dee Dee. Dee Dee Crockett, that's my niece. She's the singer.
Okay.
Wendell Woodard, keyboard player,
All right.
fantastic keyboard player. Chuck Stanberry, playing guitar,
All right.
but he's actually a bass player.
One of those guys.
He's way better than me on bass, but we needed a guitar player.
Right.
So he came in, and he's from Cleveland. And I'm missing one. Oh, Tyrone Buckner, and he's our lead singer.
Okay.
In the male.
So Tyrone and Dee Dee are the front people.
Yes.
All right. And what type of music? You said you're adding more newer things these days, but give me an idea of the mix of stuff that you guys do.
We do say, what's her name? Sweetest Taboo. You know who that is.
Yep.
We do some Denise Williams for the female parts. I don't know if you ever heard of Kim. He's a singer.
No.
Listen to his music.
Okay.
It's really, really good. And we still do some of the older stuff from like Motown, and
Right.
we do some of the Frankie Beverly that I was telling you about.
All right.
You never heard
I
him.
got to check them out. Yeah.
And we do, you ever heard stuff by Heavies? Okay. This is something they brought to me.
Okay.
And
All right.
it's it's a pretty good music. It's like upbeat dance music.
And that's what I was going to say. Are we talking?
We do a lot of upbeat dance music, but we also do ballads.
Okay,
because we got some good singers.
Right.
So we'll slow things down sometime.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How's the audience? A mix?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We try to we just kind of getting back out here.
Okay.
And so I'm trying to get in places, like the Big Bar and other places like that. Right now, we're just getting started, so I'm just kind of trying to get in touch with the right people to get in these places. But the last couple places we played, it was mixed crowds.
Okay.
And plus, the place was packed. People, they said they enjoyed, So
you play. Brian runs sound for you, right?
Brian runs sound for us.
And Sunflower Club, or where were you?
We was at the
him?
Gym City Elks Club.
Gym City Elks Club.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where is that?
That's right there. It used to be the old VFW club, right there on 2515 Ash.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's right. Yeah, it used to be the VFW club.
Okay, yeah, because I've seen other music acts playing there now, and I thought, I don't know that.
That used to be the VFW.
Okay, Gem City.
It's the Gem City Elks Club.
Okay, cool. All right.
Elks Lodge. They don't like the club.
That's right.
You got to be a member, but you don't have to be a member that night.
You can.
It's a $5 cover charge.
Yep.
And just come in.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing about music for full bands in Erie these days, as you well know, because you used to play all those places that are no longer around. Mm-hmm. Now there's very few places to play. So when I hear about new places like the Gem City Elks Lodge, I'm glad. You mentioned the Big Bar, we mentioned the Sunflower Club, Rathskeller.
Rathskeller's now. Sandbar.
Sandbar, right. I forgot about Sandbar.
There's another place across from the Sandbar, like on the other side, and I can't remember the name. But I've never played there, but I've seen bands there.
Oh, at the Colony.
Yeah.
Yeah, outside you can play. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was actually at Altered States last week.
Oh, right.
And listened to Familiar Spirit.
Yeah, right. So contemporaries. Yeah, I forgot about Familiar Spirit. So you got Breeze Band, Familiar Spirit. How do you compare yourself to those types of bands? I mean, they're all kind of show bands, kind of.
Yeah, we pretty much kind of play some of the similar stuff, but I try to if I go to and hear the Breeze Band and I try to learn other stuff too. So we kind of mix it up. But I've played with everybody in the Breeze Band.
That's what
They're
I was
all
wondering.
Good friends of mine.
Right.
And Rusty Jackson with the Familiar Spirit.
Yep.
We all played together. Grew up kind of like in the same area.
Right.
We know each other. So
I'd like to have Rusty on the podcast.
Rusty's
He'd be a good one.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Right.
Musician.
Well,
and can sing.
Yeah. Right. Okay, well, good. That's what I wanted to do is kind of bring it full circle around to where you are today. One of the fun things I always like to ask is, especially someone like you that's played around Erie for a long time, funniest, craziest gig that you ever did. I mean, something weird that happened. You got anything like, you tell your kids, well, this one time, this happened.
We had this was a different group too.
You don't have to give any names. It's all right.
The name of the group was called Thrust.
Okay. Love it.
And we played, it was like up at Mercyhurst College. They was having like an all-night dance type deal.
Okay.
I guess it's to benefit, make some money, And we weren't the greatest group. We sounded okay, but we was playing, and the singer that he had quit the group. We hadn't seen him.
Okay.
We wasn't expecting him, to be there at all. And we didn't want him there, to tell the truth. You know what I mean? But we started playing. We counted off, and I didn't even know the guy was there. But all of a sudden, he's like, comes out of nowhere. I don't know where he was hiding, and just grabbed the mic and started singing. And he was drunk. That really hurt, So the audience wasn't really appreciating what was going on too much. And next thing I know, I see my guitar player put his guitar down and run off and run. Well, he didn't take off. He was like hiding behind an amp. I guess somebody was throwing food over at us. So yeah, that was one thing I'll never forget that one.
That would be memorable.
I said, "You lucky they're not throwing bricks because we sound like crap."
What type of music was Thrust playing?
We was doing dance music,
Okay.
but the singer came out from nowhere, and he really couldn't sing number anyway.
Right.
So he was drunk and kind of messed the whole gig up that night.
How about opposite end of the spectrum? Greatest gig you're most proud of? You played at the Audi, like you said, and you opened that night for those guys.
That was great. That was my first time being on a big stage with all the lights and everything,
Yeah.
So that was fantastic. I was a little nervous, but
Sure.
you really couldn't see the people. It was like all the lights are in your eyes, so it's a whole different experience.
It is, yeah.
But that was one of them. But I've had quite a few good nights where we've sounded great, and everybody had a good time. But that last time we played at the Gym City Elks, I think that was one of my.
Really?
Yeah, I compare that to the last gig we had.
That's great.
We had a great time.
That's good to know. I mean, so that you're not like, back in the day, it was
and
the only time I was
I
playing
attribute
good.
a lot of that to Brian. He does a great job with the sound.
Brian Waller,
the sound.
does a great job.
Oh,
yeah, right.
And so that helps out.
It
Plus,
does.
everybody in the group was sounding great that night.
And that's a good point. Like back in the day, we all had to buy our own sound equipment. Usually,
Yeah.
I mean, was that the case with you guys? Did you rent anything, or did you have to buy it? And it was all like,
No, we had our own. We didn't figure out a way to get a PA system. We had to have one, and we used to lug all this equipment around all the time. And
sucked.
back then, everything was a lot heavier.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
like today. Everything's made out of plastic. But
Right.
back then, it was all those big, heavy wooden crates, and everybody had to have the bigger speakers, and the bigger the better. And I was a lot younger then. I could do it.
Sure.
I can't. I don't.
I always brag to people now that my Fender amp weighs 7 pounds, and I carry it in a bag, and my cabinet's a real lightweight, made out of some special aluminum or something.
Everything's light.
Everything's lighter
Carry it
now.
with one hand.
Yeah. What do you play out of now? Do you play out of a combo, or do you have a big?
No, I just got an old PV.
Yeah.
Just still sticking with PV.
15, 18?
Yeah. No, it's actually a 15.
15.
I didn't want it too big. I just because right now I just use it as a monitor when I'm on stage.
Oh, okay.
If I got the sound man there, so
Right.
I also have another amp too, a bigger one. But it's still PVs. I don't know why I stuck with PVs.
That's all right. Nothing wrong with PVs.
Yeah, I
used to
started
have
with a
those
PV.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
You
Who used to sell PVs? Markham's?
Yeah. Ozekis.
Oh, Seekies. That's right. That's where I got mine.
Yeah, that's where I got it.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, I appreciate you chatting with me today.
Oh, man, I enjoyed it.
Did we cover everything?
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah?
Pretty much. I mean, I'm probably left out a few bands that I
I was
was
going to
in.
say, any other bands besides Thrust that you remember?
Like I said, the Catfish, I told you that one, right?
Yep.
And I mentioned a couple of these guys' names. So, John Gavin, saxophone player.
Okay.
Rockman Hooks, they call him Rock.
Okay.
He played drums. Moondog, I told you, he
Right.
played with us in that group.
Huh.
Who else we had? Simmons, keyboard player.
The Simmons guy.
I gotta get his name.
That's right.
Oh no, he's gonna be mad. Yeah, but he knows he's a great guy.
How about, did you ever do any other gospel bands besides that one you told me about?
Yeah, I also played with a group called the Golden Bells. And they were like a group that had been around since like the 50s.
Oh.
Yeah, they were a bunch of older guys, older than me.
Yeah.
At that time, I was quite young.
Okay.
And they sang a gospel. They were a quartet.
Okay.
Even had records out back in the 50s.
The Golden Bells.
The Golden Bells.
And they were from Erie.
From Erie.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Look them up.
Great singer guys. All of them had fantastic voices. And Eddie Colvin played the guitar and he could sing. And who else we had in that group? Major Knight. He was a lead singer. There was quite a few. I was just the bass player. I was a little young guy in the group. And they traveled. We traveled to Buffalo, New York, Cleveland, Ohio, the tri-state area.
Sure, right. Mm-hmm. Back before kids, and you could do all that.
They were great, yeah. They taught me a lot, too.
They did.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like you played with a lot of guys that were accomplished, had been doing it for a long time, and you kind of absorbed and learned from
Because
them.
when I first got in the gospel, I was first playing, out in the street, playing out in the world here.
Sure.
Then when I got into gospel, I thought, this should be simple, because I'm thumping around. I found out that's where the music was at in the church.
Ah.
That's where the real musicians play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It wasn't as cut and dry as I thought. So
Right.
I learned a lot playing with the church.
A lot of structure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The choir directors in this church, they know their stuff.
Yeah.
Some of them have their degrees and
Right.
masters, and they can play, and they know when you're not keeping up. They'll get on you. So yeah, I learned quite a bit.
Did any of that ever translate over into your regular bands? Like even the Legend Band, was there someone who was like the taskmaster
There's
all the time?
always somebody
is?
that you want to slap, but yeah, we have that too.
I've been in those bands too. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. I appreciate you being here today.
I appreciate coming.
This was great.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right. Thanks.
Really appreciate it.
All right. My thanks to Dennis Henderson again. He's a cool dude. I appreciate him being on the podcast. Be sure to check out where his band, The Legend Band, is playing these days. You can do that, of course, by listening to Jack Stevenson's Two-Man Happy Hour podcast. That's the number 2manhappyhour.com. Jack does a great job of telling you where and when everybody is playing in town these days. Also special thanks to my sponsor, the JPT Foundation. In conjunction with the JPT Foundation, we host a music night each month at their hall, which is located on West 38th Street. It's totally free. All the money goes to the Second Harvest Food Bank. It's a 6 to 9 event. And starting at 6 o'clock, the band The Fabulous Leftovers with some great local musicians. They play for an hour, and then we open it up to an open mic component. It's been a lot of fun. It's BYOB, everything. Nobody makes any money. All the money goes to the Second Harvest Food Bank. So the next one is May 31st from 6 to 9. So if you'd like to also help support this podcast, click on the red button on the website. That's the Patreon button. You can go there and donate a few bucks if you'd like. But I appreciate any support that you give me. I appreciate everybody who has been supportive of this podcast thus far. I'm having a great time, and I really enjoy talking to all these folks. So until next time, I'm Chip Shell, and I appreciate you listening to the Erie Music History Podcast.